Lesson 3.1 takes us into now comparative data, where we're going to look at two different variables and how they react to each other. So these first two terms we've actually worked with before when we covered chapter 4, but let's bring them back and formalize them a bit.
So a response variable measures the outcome of a study. You might want to think of a response variable as your y variable or your output variable. So if you just keep those things in mind, that's what happens after something else happens, and that something that happens is your explanatory variable, may help explain or predict changes in the y variable. So your explanatory variable would be like your x variable or your input, your independent variable. So if you think about those in mathematic terms, that's what we're talking about. Let's look at a few examples and try to figure out which are the explanatory and which are the response variables. Also, we're going to think about, are they categorical or quantitative variables? So we're going to go back to those two terms and think about, is this a numerical description or is this one more in categories or groups or descriptions? So our first question is about drinking beer and affecting alcohol level. I kind of already see the first two variables. So drinking beer and level of alcohol. That's probably what we're measuring right there. But let's read some more. The legal limit for driving in most states is 0.08%. In a study, adult volunteers drank different numbers of cans of beer. 30 minutes later, a police officer measured their blood alcohol levels. So guess what? Those were my two variables. So which is the explanatory and which is the response? Well, you have to drink beer before your alcohol level will change. So drinking beer is your explanatory, your input, quite literally your input, and your response would be the alcohol level. So the only other question we need to answer is whether these are categorical or quantitative. Well, number of beers drunk, definitely a number, so that's quantitative. Blood alcohol level is also measured in a percent, so that would also be quantitative. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to our next example. The National Student Loan Survey provides data on the amount of debt for recent college graduates. Their income is, let's see, their current income and how stressed they feel about college debt. A sociologist looks at the data with the goal of using the amount of debt and income to explain the stress caused by college debt. So there seems to be two variables here. So right there, the amount of debt and income and the stress caused by college debt. So it seems pretty straightforward what our two variables are. Explanatory, the amount of debt and income. Obviously, if they have more income, they probably have less debt. But the stress caused by that debt. The question here, though, is whether these are categorical or quantitative. So the amount of debt and income is clearly quantitative since it is numerical money, but the stress, it depends on how the surveyor actually does their questioning. If they ask people to rate their stress on a scale of from 1 to 10, then it could be quantitative. However, if they have ranges of stress levels, so how is your stress? Low, moderate, medium, you could have very strong, strong, no stress, something like, all those ranges. So this one, just depending on how the survey is written, it could be either quantitative or categorical. I would like you guys to go ahead and try C on your own, see if you can identify the explanatory or the response variable, and whether it's categorical or quantitative. Hopefully you were able to see that in this problem, the water temperature was your explanatory variable and the weight of the coral was your response, and those were both quantitative. Next, we're going to be getting into some scatter plots. It's the only graph we can use for two quantitative variables. So we've looked at categorical variables when we're comparing two of them before, but this is the first time we're really looking at a scatter plot for two quantitative variables. So how do you know which variable to put on which axis? I kind of covered that before. But the explanatory is like your x variable, so it should go on the x-axis. The response should be measured on your y-axis. There's a really easy way to remember this. Explanatory, x-axis. There you go. How to make a scatter plot, decide which variable should go on each axis, label and scale your axis. So really think about where things are going to go and plot your individual values. So just the 3 steps, not too difficult. All right, we're going to use this example of Taishan the panda quite a bit because it's just convenient and you'll get used to using this data quite a bit. It was a panda born at the National Zoo quite a while ago, but it was a lot of excitement about it. We're given the age and the weight, and we're given the scatter plot for this. How many variables are there? Obviously, it's a scatter plot. There's two rows here, not too difficult. The explanatory variable is the age. We can see that because it's on the x-axis. The response is your weight, since it's on the y-axis. Is the data categorical or quantitative? Well, since it's in a scatter plot, it must be quantitative. For one variable statistics, we used words to describe. We used our shape, outliers, center, and spread, so our socks. But with two variable data, when we're looking at scatter plots, we're going to describe it slightly differently. So the 3 words we use here are direction, strength, and form. We are still also going to be looking for outliers. So an important kind of departure is an outlier, an individual value that falls outside the overall pattern of the relationship.
So talking about direction, if the scatter plot has a clear direction, we describe it as a positive or negative association. Strength. Strength is determined by how close the points in the scatter plot lie in a form like a line. Just a side note, in AP statistics, while you need to recognize that there are other forms, we are going to be working mainly with linear forms. So speaking of forms, scatter plots can take a linear form and the points will show a straight line pattern. Curved and cluster relationships may also exist. So you just need to be able to differentiate between a linear form and a curved form. And I'll show you some examples of how you can be tricked. And finally, we do have outliers, but rather than forcing you to write that again, the definition is actually up here. We're going to go back to Taishan's scatter plot, and we're going to actually use these terms to describe what we see, but let's analyze it a bit before we do. Hopefully you're noticing that if we look at this scatter plot from left to right, it goes from here, it's increasing. So this is definitely a positive direction. So you always start from the left, go to the right, and follow the trend. So that since this is increasing, it's positive. Next, we're going to look at the strength. So if I were to draw a line here, so if I were to draw a straight line through this, I can see that most of my points follow a straight line pattern, so I would say that this is a strong relationship since most of the points follow that form, and that form does seem to be linear. So the only issue I'm seeing here is this one point right here does not follow this path. So I might mention that this could be a possible outlier. So here's how we describe Taishan's scatter plot. The data of Taishan's, and I'm actually going to have you watch me write this. I usually don't bore you with this, but I want you to kind of walk you through step by step. So age to weight. So what's important is that you put this in context. All right, so this part here is context. You can't just say the data. You have to say, what are you comparing? So this shows a positive. So there's our direction. So I'm going to match the colors to my descriptions above. Strength, it is pretty strong. So I'm going to say strong. And the shape of it is the form of it is very linear. So there you go. In one sentence, I've described the direction, the strength, and the form with just 3 words. So you don't have to go into a lot of detail when doing this. But let's talk about that outlier. All right, we're going to say there is a possible outlier. One thing I really noticed when you guys were analyzing graphs, you didn't use these kinds of words, this possible, could be. You do not want, unless you are doing actual mathematical analysis, you don't want to say there is an outlier. So be really careful with your description. And there's that possible outlier. It's at 160 days. I'm just going to say at 160 days. Okay, so that's all. That's it. That's how you describe a scatter plot. It's actually pretty simple.